Yo, what up, doggies? It's your boy Johnny Zuko, your neighborhood boogeyman, with my co-host, the Crypt Keeper's mistress, Elysa Sardinha.
Hello, and happy Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that. Happy Friday the 13th, and right now, by the time this airs, it's gonna be over. But make sure you go to Shudder and go catch Joe Bob's last drive-in.
Yes.
Please do that because we need more Joe Bob in our lives.
We do. It's entertaining. And
Yeah.
It's so funny.
He was, I don't know. Are you a big Joe Bob fan?
I'm getting into him more now because of the whole Shudder thing that's happening. So I'm trying to get into it, but I don't think a lot of people know who he is.
You know, he had a show in the late 80s, The Last Drive-In at Stars. Then they brought him to TNT when he did the Saturday Night Monster Vision.
See, that's what I grew up with.
That's where I knew him from, and I remember the first time I saw him was the Dusk Till Dawn Marathon. And it was the very first time they did all 5 Friday the 13th.
Nice.
And then, on top of that, TNT didn't have the rights to air one of them, so it went 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
It skipped 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he blew his lid.
Oh,
he was so pissed. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? They had to cut and like.
I'd be pissed too, though. I mean, if you're gonna show all of them, might as well.
Yeah, and especially that if that's what you promised the fans, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I watched Joe Bob for about a good 3-4 years, and then TNT went into a new direction when they did the Time Warner merger. But he's been out of sight, out of mind for about a good 10-15 years.
While.
Yeah.
So that's coming tomorrow, you said?
That's tonight at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Pacific, 9 Eastern. I do recommend, though, I hope everyone goes and tunes in because I want to see more Joe Bob on Shudder. I mean, if we can get Elvira to do Knott's Berry, we should be able to get like a Joe Bob Briggs like segment on Shudder.
Yeah, I agree. And you said it's gonna be Tourist Trap is the one that.
Tourist Trap is the one that's kicking off.
That's one of my favorite movies.
I have not seen this movie.
Oh my god, Chuck Connors. So if anybody knows who Chuck Connors is, he was like the Western Marlboro Man. He was in the The Rifleman. AMC will show like old episodes. Totally tall, like he was so gorgeous when he was younger, and then later on he did kind of weird roles, like Soylent Green, and he's been in a bunch of like weird movies, but this one he's the bad guy, and it's so creepy, and it's really a lot of people, I don't know, like it's been kind of swept under the rug. Not a lot of people know about it, so I'm glad he's showing it because it's one of my favorites.
I think it got a re-release on Blu. I don't know if it was Full Moon or a Screen Factory, but when it got re-released on Blu-ray, it kind of got its own life again.
That's good.
And everyone's talking about it. Like, I'm in this horror group, and that's one of the movies that they're talking about. Like, this movie is so bad, but it's so entertaining.
It's bad, but it's okay. Like, there's bad movies, but this has like really creepy moments. And I feel like the remake of House of Wax kind of copied a lot of things from it, which is weird because House of Wax was its own film, but this. Like, watch it, you'll see what I mean, but there's really creepy moments in it.
I'm going to have to watch it, but I have seen clips of it in The Mask. That looks crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
You know Lando's co-pilot?
Oh.
That's what that mask looks like to me.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
He's got creepy ones in it, so I'm excited.
And then, so you've been on a Christmas kick lately, though, haven't you?
I have been on, because it's July and everyone's weird and always wants to do Christmas in July. So I've been watching just some bad, like Amazon Prime has these kind of underground, independent horror films, and there's a lot of Christmas ones on there. So I've been kind of watching those. There was one called Secret Santa. There's one that just came out in 2017, but this one came out a couple years ago, and they marketed it to be like an 80s slasher, and it has that like Eli Roth Thanksgiving kind of trailer to it.
Even down to the voice.
Even down to the voice. It's so bad, but it's like funny at the same time. And it has like it's actually the ending was creative. I wasn't expecting the killer. I'm not gonna give anything away, but it had its moments, So I've been watching that, and just kind of messing around, seeing what else is out there. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of bad ones on Amazon Prime. So if you're into that, check it out.
Yeah, there's a lot you have to filter through, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize there were like 2 Secret Santa movies. Like,
yeah,
what? Another one that looks kind of interesting too, because I only saw the trailer, but it looks like a family gets together and there's dissension among them, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose.
Is that Red Christmas?
No, I swear, I think Red Christmas copied this one or something, because it was the same exact thing.
Was it on Amazon or?
I think it's on Amazon right now.
There's another one on there called All Through the House, which the mask is great. Like, it's a very creepy Santa Claus, and that one was shot well, but the acting, it's supposed to be bad, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to diss the filmmaker, but that one had some good scenes. But that has like a family thing and like a girl sorority kind of vibe to it. But
kind of like Black Christmas.
Yeah. The original. The OG.
Not Black Xmas.
No. Not that one.
Yeah, I don't know about that movie either.
That was awful. They made that so like disgusting and incest. Like, that was horrible.
Well, there was kind of a hint of it in the original too, but not as much
really,
though.
He's just like a creep, and you don't know why he's doing it. You know. And then this one, they give, again, like, new films are giving way too much information and way too much backstory. It's scarier when you don't know the backstory.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think that a lot of people want the why now.
I know.
And I think
stupid.
I think that's a disservice to like horror films, because
it is.
You can't be as creative like if you got to explain the why.
Right. We live in that generation now, though. They want it fast. They want it now, and it's like, no, you gotta wait for it. That's what's creepy.
You can't wait like 3-4 movies. Like, come on, it's gonna make money. You're not gonna get 3 more sequels regardless.
Right? Like The Purge.
All right, so we are gonna do our first Purge review. So I've already argued a lot with people on Facebook about this.
Same.
So let's hear your thoughts. What's your thought on this?
Okay, well, let us purge this series, because I don't know. How do you want to do this? Do you want to go?
Let's talk. Let's get off our initial reviews, because
okay.
We didn't get our initial reviews when we went to go see it.
And this is the first Purge.
The first Purge. So let's just do our initial review, and then we'll dive into the series.
Okay, so mine, I have very mixed feelings about it. I going into it, I knew what it was going to be about. I knew it was going to be super political and relevant for the times right now, which is fine. You know, I have no issue with that. I didn't hate it. I liked it a lot better than the last one that came out. And I actually liked the main guy in it, the one that plays Dimitri. I thought, you know, he was like the strong silent type, the strong silent action star type.
Yeah,
I liked him.
He's a star.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you, and I hate to say this because I hate remakes, but if they were ever to remake Blade, he would make a good Blade.
No, I would agree. I would agree.
So I really liked him. I just feel, I don't know, like I feel so mixed on this, and I took some notes because I was like, what do I really want to say? Like, okay, so first of all, as a backtrack, so this one, it's the very first Purge. This goes into the NFFA and the backstory, and they're trying to do like an experiment. So they interview people, and it's on Staten Island. They interview people, and they will pay them $5,000 for anyone to participate in the first Purge. So they kind of go into that, but that's as much backstory as we get. There's not really a lot going on there. And then, you know, you have like the community. It's a low-income community. It's mostly, you know, Black and Hispanic. And the people are getting angry because they think, you know, why are you doing this? This is inhumane. Like, don't participate. So there's a bunch of like protests that are going on. So you have all that. And then the people that do participate, there's nothing really happening. And then FFA gets pissed off because they think, oh, if we pay people to kill, you know, we'll get great footage out of this. You know, this is going to be great. Nothing really happens. So they send in these like mercenary guys, and, you know, they're dressed in like KKK stuff, Nazi stuff, the blackface masks. For those of you who don't know what blackface is, back in the day in old Hollywood, they didn't really cast black actors, so they would paint white performers.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, so the white performers would paint their face black, and then they would draw really big lips. Completely racist, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll see that in this. It's the guys. It's towards like kind of the end.
Yeah, it's in the hallway.
Yeah.
Scene. I was wondering what those masks were. I thought that was just gas masks.
No, so it was blackface.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have that going on. So there's a lot of relevant things happening. And then I don't know if you remember, but like when the church, they hide out at this church because they think they'll be safe. That doesn't happen when the mercenaries show up, and that to me was like a flashback to the Charleston church shooting, the mass shooting. I felt like that was kind of like tied to that. So a lot of stuff that's been happening in society and real world in America, I feel like they tried to incorporate into this one. And then the whole like the girl when she's like on the ground and the guy grabs her crotch, she's like, oh, I hate this word. She's like, oh, you're a pea grabber. You know, so there was like things that they tie it into, but I felt like it just wasn't.
I felt that moment though didn't need that liner.
It didn't need it.
It
wasn't necessary.
I felt like it would have been just creepier and just have her run off.
Yeah.
That way it would have left.
It would have left you more like, whoa.
Not even something seems like that someone would say.
Yeah, I know. And that's
I don't know about
it's cheesy.
But I feel like it takes away from that moment. Though.
I agree.
I do think it takes away from that moment. Just saying that line, the more I think about it, I was like,
yeah,
it got a good chuckle, but you know, is that what you really want from that? You don't want people to chuckle at that. You want people to be like fucking afraid or scared. You
like
know,
if some guy did that to me, I'd be like, what?
The only one that you would believe would say it is the character Dolores.
Yeah, so there's exactly.
She was consistently joked when it wasn't appropriate, and she was still funny.
Yeah,
for that character, kind of pulled that off.
There's a character in it who's great. Her name's Dolores, and she's the one that's filled with like the one-liners. So you'll know who we're talking about if you've seen it. But yeah, I just felt like this one. I get what they were doing. I just kind of feel like it was cheesy, to be honest. Like the whole racially divided stuff too. Like the only killers in this are white people. The only victims are the black people, which I understand that they're making that for these times. But I just kind of felt like, like it just wasn't as effective. Like the dialogue wasn't as effective, and I also feel like there should have been more. There should have been a little more backstory to why they're doing this.
I feel like if you would have did that, you would have been like with like episode 2 of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, where you have like 2 hours of like fucking Republic meetings and shit like that.
But I get what you're saying, and I mentioned before I don't like a lot of backstory, but I felt like with this, because it's such a heavy topic, and it's like relatable to what's happening, I feel like there should have just been a little.
Yeah, there should have been a
more
build up to it.
Yeah.
Instead of like starting 2 days prior to the purge.
Yeah.
At least try to give us a little bit of a backstory on why you're trying to do this and why is this a science experiment so important.
Why Staten Island?
Yeah.
You know, like
why'd you pick that? Is it because it's isolated? Is it because it's surrounded by water?
Right.
You know, and when I was thinking about this movie, I was thinking about the Stanford experiment.
Me too. Yes.
Like the whole entire time I was like, man, this is weird because I feel like they're doing the Stanford experiment, but on a grander scale. You mean to tell me like that experiment didn't happen in their universe, so they can't kind of like reach the data and say like, hey, maybe this might not work,
right?
You know.
And then I also feel too, if something like that were to happen, people would go to stores and steal stuff. Like
that's one thing that I do have like a big gripe about is that the lack of destruction.
There's lack of destruction. Like there'd be graffiti, there'd be bonfires, like building exploding, like people stealing shit, like gold. I mean, they kind of got into that a little bit with that one guy, but nothing took off.
Yeah.
So I feel, and when a community crumbles like that, I mean, back when you look at the LA riots, Jesus Christ, like. That whole thing, people were stealing from their neighbors. There wasn't a sense of community at all. When you go into an apocalyptic mode, you're out for yourself. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's true. Like, you go
it's
into
all for one and
mode.
one for all, yeah.
Exactly.
I guess, what was they were just given a pass. I guess there wasn't an emotional motivation.
Right.
And so it was kind of the point, like, people weren't participating and weren't doing very much.
Yeah.
So they're... the riots, people were upset, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think that's why it didn't work, because there was a lack of civil unrest.
Yeah.
There wasn't, like she said, like there's not a motivation.
Mm-hmm.
When you have riots or Devil's Night, there's always a motivation to it. Even like movies like Battle Royale, even though the premise is ridiculous, those students knew the deal. They knew that, they had to do something, otherwise they were not getting off that island.
Yeah.
Because they made it very clear from the very first frame, like, if you don't do it, you're going to end up like that kid over there.
Yeah.
Full of holes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they did it in front of the whole entire class. And that's what made them scared. It's like, shit, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when the first purge kicks off, they don't do anything because they don't know necessarily if this is a trap.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I think that's why there was a lack of anything for the very first few hours. That's why the only people that were doing anything were the gangsters.
Yeah.
Because they're like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
I do this shit every day.
Right.
But when you have like normal civilian people, they're like, well, shit, let's throw a block party. Fuck it,
That part was cool, like the block party. I liked that. And, then when
to me,
crazy
that
guy
made
comes,
sense, because do that, because then.
But do you feel like today's times, though, how self-absorbed everybody is and how everyone just cares about technology and themselves, like that would happen, though? I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I feel like there'd be more destruction, in my opinion, especially in cities. Yeah,
I do agree, but at the same time, it's also a small community where people know each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's basically kind of like a small town. You know what I mean? Everyone knows each other. And so when they have a block party and they're all partying...
Yeah.
That's why the party was successful and not
right. The party was successful and the purge wasn't.
Yeah, and so, they're doing drugs, they're doing whatever. They're drinking, they're lighting shit on fire, they're playing music really loud.
Yeah.
And, when Skeletor shows up and kills that bitch.
He was creepy. There's a guy named Skeletor in it who's really creepy, who goes killing. I wanted more of him. I wanted more of, like, that weird stuff going on, He
was actually an underutilized character throughout. To me, my review on it, though, I feel like as this series has gone on, I feel like each film has gotten better. Not by exorbitant amounts, but they've gotten better in the way that they execute the purge and stuff like that. And I think this one was a little too heavy-handed. It was right out the gate, kind of slapped you in the face, which is cool. There's not a whole lot of movies that do that now. It's kind of like showing you in the mirror, but at the same time, it's not doing it in a clever way like Spike Lee does it.
Yeah.
Spike Lee says, "Hey, look." But the way he does it is that, like, the dialogue reflects how he's feeling, but at the same time reflects how other people are feeling.
Right.
I get the premise is ridiculous for the purge, and it's a hyper reality. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't think this is a really good movie. I really wish they went more with an exploitive action movie.
Me too.
With horror elements.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if they would have went that direction, it could have saved the series.
Yeah.
It could have made it better. Like Anarchy. Anarchy is a really good action movie. Yeah. The action set pieces are not great by any means, but it knows what it wants to be. Right. And I feel like this one didn't know what it wanted to be.
It was kind of like...
Because you had, like, different elements from different movies. Like, they try to draw out suspense, or they... Right. It's trying to be too many things. I feel like there was too many cooks in the kitchen at this time.
I will say this, though. It was cinematically shot better than a lot of the other ones, because I feel like the other ones were so, like, that documentary kind of footage, like, just so jiggly and shaky, which drives me nuts. So this one, it was more, cinematic. You're not dizzy while you're watching it.
And I don't agree with some of the certain things they did, like the fade out, where he had the two girls in the room, and all of a sudden it builds and then it fades out. I'm like, is that supposed to happen? Yeah. I didn't get that. I didn't get that editing choice.
And there were no, like, really cool killings. It was just guns. Like, I feel like the NRA would love this movie. Like, it was just guns. And I get it. It's the first purge, but, like, I wanted more creative killings. I wanted better masks. I wanted more, just kind of, like, different weird things going on, and this one just didn't do it at all. It's just guns.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest thing for people to get, though. Especially, and the thing too is that they even referenced that toward the end of the movie. It's like, oh yeah, I bought this arsenal from some dude half off. Yeah. So I bought everything. Yeah. So that goes to show that they're fucking loading these neighborhoods with military weapons. Yeah.
Do you think that was more of like a political move, though, because of what's happening?
I think so, but that's always been the thing, though. Yeah. Like how the government supplied crack in the neighborhoods in the 80s, and how they supplied weapons to certain gangs and stuff like that. Because how are gangs getting AK-47s and M4s and military-grade weapons on the streets of, like, L.A. or Oakland or New York, for crying out loud? And so it's like, well, someone in there is doing that. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense for them to reference that, because that does make sense, because that's always been the conspiracy theory about it. It's like, well, how are they getting all these weapons?
Right.
You know? So to me, I felt like, yeah, it was a political move, but it also was also saying something about those neighborhoods as well.
Those neighborhoods, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. To me, it was like 3. I give it a 3 Z's. I don't like it as much as I should have.
I didn't hate it though. That's the plus. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as the series goes, now this is very different, because you have the first one, The Purge. Let's just call it The Purge.
Mm-hmm.
The Purge, which deals with the middle class, upper class, wealthy family.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to Anarchy, which deals with the underbelly of LA. And then you go to Election Year, that goes into the politics.
Yeah.
So basically you're covering 3 different sets.
Yeah.
Right? So in Anarchy, and so in The Purge, I find it really fascinating that the security system that the dude was selling didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
And so he was basically fucking over his own people just to line his own pockets.
Pretty much.
And that's what I was thinking about, because then because I haven't visited The Purge since it came out in the theaters.
Yeah, and the first one was 2013.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it since then.
Yeah.
Every time that movie's on, I change the channel. Every time Anarchy's on, without fail, wherever it is, I stop. I like this one. But I feel like that's kind of like the theme of it, because then it shows the wolf in that suburban upper class.
Yeah.
Because then you see like, oh yeah, your security systems are shit, dude. Like,
right.
You are fucking your own people over.
And you're not safe.
Yeah. At all. And then there's no way in hell that truck should have been able to take that barricade down.
Yeah.
You know, if it was like what he said it was, it should have been a fucking tank to take that fucking thing down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find that interesting that it covers different grounds on that.
It was just, I mean, to me, when I was excited to hear about it, because I'm like, oh, I love Ethan Hawke, and this seems like a home invasion. They marketed it as like a home invasion, you know, and you know me, I love my home invasion movies. So I was excited, and then once I saw it, like, you know, it took a while to get going, and then, then it got kind of weird, because they have to stay in their house, and everyone just kind of separates, and like you don't know what's happening, and the daughter's like stupid boyfriend, totally unnecessary. So it just kind of like disintegrates for a while, and you don't really know what's going on.
And on top of that, at dinner time, how the fuck do you lose time?
Yeah, right. Like, this is a nice. What did he say? Like, oh, this is a nice pot roast, or something like that.
And then it's like, oh, it's 7:00. It's later than I thought it was. Like, are you fucking serious?
Like, shouldn't you be preparing and like not having like a dinner and like batten down the hatches, you know?
I know, or at least batten down the hatches and then have dinner.
Yeah.
You know, like, so to me it's like, how do you lose time?
And
the clock is right fucking there.
Yeah, they're too relaxed about it.
They're like, oh, it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, well, it happened tonight, motherfucker.
It happened, and sometimes I feel like Ethan Hawke only did this movie because the director James DeMonaco did him in the remake Assault on Precinct 13.
That was him.
That was him, same director, yeah.
No.
Yeah. And he did another movie, Staten Island. That was another movie that they did together.
Oh, that's actually on Prime.
Yeah.
I actually saw that. I didn't know. I think he plays a cop in that one.
When doesn't Ethan Hawke like play a cop?
True story. Now he's
I
typecasted.
love him though. No, I
he's
love
typecast.
him. I love him so much. Him in Reality Bites, like, But yeah, so I don't know, like, and then the Killers. Okay, so I was excited for the Killers because they're like blonde and preppy, and they had like these great masks. But then, like, his acting got kind of bad. He goes, "Let us purge." Like, the way it just got kind of bad. And then when they break in the house, it just nothing really takes off. Nothing really happens. And it's, you know, you look at home invasion movies like You're Next or, you know, like The Strangers, like, there's so much going on. Like, it's so suspenseful. This one wasn't really suspenseful to me. It was just kind of like waiting and just kind of like toughening it out. So I don't know. I got kind of bored, to be honest.
Yeah, and this movie doesn't really pick up till like the third act.
It doesn't pick up till the third act.
You know what I mean? And I get that you're trying to draw out, because I get you're trying to draw out the suspense of them coming in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you're not really doing anything with the characters to like make us feel like, oh, we should like these dudes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, you know, I was kind of on the homeless guy's side.
Me too.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, this motherfucker's trying to stay safe, and you guys are just trying to throw him to the wolves. So, like, I don't care what happens to you fucking guys.
Yeah.
As long as he lives, I'm good. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, you start to care about the wife a little more because then she starts having a conscience.
Right.
And then she starts realizing, this is bad. Like, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And then it kind of comes together at the end when, she doesn't pull the trigger herself. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was like, that's interesting. And that's another interesting thing too, because that's the theme. If you notice, every end at the third movie, all three movies, their enemy always survives.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And I'm like, like,
what does that say?
What are you trying to say there? That revenge is not the best thing. Mm-hmm. You can't always have what you want, or your bloodlust can't be like satisfied. Right. I mean, I don't get what they're trying to say there. But with her, it's like what was her stance?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I still don't know. Like, I don't know why she didn't.
She supported the purge, or did she? That's the one thing, because her husband put the blue roses out on the yard. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, did she support the purge or does she not?
Right.
And if she did,
I felt
why
like
not?
They were trying to highlight how some people are so unaffected by what's going on around them, or when there's something horrible.
Yeah.
And that's why it dragged on so long, like really trying to show how I don't care, like we're fine.
And also if I was in that position, I feel like I'd keep my family in one room.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, right.
That is what I'm saying. The whole movie, they separate. Like, what is that? What is that
like
about?
My kids, I would be like, you're not leaving my side. You're sleeping right here next
to me. To be fair, every horror movie does that. Like, don't split up the group. Oh, let's split up and go this way. Every horror movie does that.
You watch Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that line too. He's like, Chris Hemsworth is like, I don't think we should split up. And they go, well, let's decide that. And they turn the knobs like, I think we should split up. And then she's like, that's a bad idea. No, let's split up.
Yeah, every horror movie, they all split up and then they get killed off one by one. So I understand that they had to do that. But at the same time, it was just like, oh, like, what the hell? Made me, like, angry.
Well, because it's different, because it's not a group of friends.
Right.
Of teenagers all, like, doing their own thing.
It's a family.
It's a family, and you would think the parents would be like...
Oh, and we should have probably said that spoilers... Sorry.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it,
Spoiler alert. I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of this.
Don't waste your time.
Spoilers. So what was your what's your overall thoughts on The Purge?
The first one?
Yeah.
What is your 3Z rating? What is that? Like, so I can give my, like, Z ratings.
Oh, my Z, because I'm Johnny Zuko, so,
you would
like...
be 3 E's.
Yeah,
okay.
3 E's.
So 3 E's being, like...
Or 3 S's, because
3
of your last name.
I mean, between 1 and 5.
Oh, between 1 and 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Because do you ever watch...
Like stars.
Because I watch, Tim Heidecker? He does, like, Adult Swim.
No.
He's an actor and a comedian, but he has an Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So he did, like, the Tim and Eric show, but he did like a podcast that turned into a show called oh crap, what is it? Something Cinemas, On Camera Cinemas or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be funny, but he always gives, like, I give this 6 bags of popcorn. But so for the first one I'd probably do like 2.5 E.
2.5 E, so that's like 2 E's and like a line.
Yeah, a line or a squiggle, because that's how I felt while watching it. Yeah. And what kills me about it is, like, they shot it for $3 million and they made almost $90 million at a profit.
Those movies are cheap to make.
All of them are shot super low budget, and then they do this because they know they'll make a lot of money out of it.
Fucking Blumhouse.
Yeah. Right.
To me, I felt indifferent when I first saw it in the theater. I walked out of the theater and I was like, whatever. And then when we watched it at the house, I was like, I'm gonna go lock every fucking window and door.
Yeah, right. Don't trust your neighbors. That's what I walked away with.
Yeah, right. That's also that's like that's supposed to be like the big twist at the end. It's like, well, you kind of had it coming.
Yeah.
And so like, and it's kind of funny too, because like they kind of even soak that seed when the girl comes up and makes that backhanded comment to her. It's like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean they, or is it just you?
You're
like,
right.
Oh, it's just gossip. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, something's gonna happen then.
All bitchy.
You know, and I was kind of hoping.
She was weird, kind of robotic. I thought she was straight. Like, I thought, is there some kind of twist that's going to come up that she's
a robot?
Robots?
Like,
they
not
should
real,
do that.
like her dialogue was weird.
They should do that.
Well, this does take place in like 2045 or some shit like that.
Which isn't that far away when you think, which creeps me out.
Yeah, that is true.
You know?
And the First Purge took place in 2018.
Yeah.
And then the Purge took place in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Anarchy took place at 2023.
I think 2023. Yeah. That's like not that far away. It's so scary.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, so like, yeah, I guess on to the next one.
Well, to me, hold on. Like, one more thing I want to say about this movie is that this was a really bad ploy at trying to capitalize on the strangers.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like they did not nail what they should have nailed.
Not at all.
There was again, this is a really good premise for the first one, like the Purge. I think that was a really good premise. I felt like the characters were weak. The daughter was way too fucking whiny. And, you know, the only one that was really good was the homeless man.
Yeah, he was like the best out of all of them.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. And he is a talented actor to begin with.
I liked him.
And also, you know, he's also streamlined through the series as well.
He is?
Yeah, which we will talk about in a little bit because we got to... We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back. So, let's talk Anarchy.
Anarchy.
Which is probably the best out of the series.
I agree. Came out 2014. That one was the best, for sure.
The whole consensus is that one is the best.
Yeah.
I put up a poll saying, out of the 3 Purges before the first Purge came out, which one do you think is the best? And Anarchy won by miles ahead.
Wow.
Election got a few, said that there was a couple of
Okay,
things.
we're going to talk about that because that...
It got a few, and not a lot. It got a few. Like, while the Purge only got like maybe a handful.
Really?
Yeah, the
wow.
Purge. I'm like, I mean, I can see how that works. And the first one does work as kind of like a thriller / horror movie.
Yeah.
You know, because they play up the horror part really well. You know, as well as they can.
And those characters, the preppy group,
the preppy
really
killers,
sort of mimic. Like they have a serial killer type.
Yeah, which I liked.
Vibe.
Yeah, which I liked. But
And then you get into Anarchy, which is just a fucking exploitation action movie.
That's what people say. Yeah.
You know, I do wish they went more exploitive and more action. I think I would have been a little bit more funner. But the set pieces they do have in there are pretty awesome. And let's talk about this fucking movie, because this movie introduces the world to Frank fucking Grillo.
Who I really like, and I totally think he's like a leading man. Yeah. I don't know. He gets a lot of hate though. I don't understand it. Like, he's a good-looking guy. He can act great.
And then on top of that, I think it's because of him and John Bernthal. They both kind of play the same roles.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If it wasn't for Grillo playing Crossbones, I guarantee he would have been the Punisher.
You think so?
I think so. Because I think he could have pulled that off.
I agree, actually.
I think he could have pulled the Punisher off, and I think if Bernthal did not do the Punisher, I think Grillo would have been. Would have been the best fit.
I could see that.
And you know, and as well as you can see, he's no stranger to action.
Right.
You know, in this movie, you know, he does his own stunts, and this movie is kind of like a revenge movie.
And that's what I liked about it, because so the first one you have everybody, it's just in one location, it's a house. This one, you're kind of like.
Yeah, it expands.
You're out of the house. You're into more of like the real world. You're in downtown LA. You know, there's multiple characters going on. I feel like in this one there was more at risk, and you're meeting new characters that you actually kind of care about. There's kind of more backstory. You're understanding why this guy wants revenge, and you know you're following all these people, and there's a lot going on. It's more chaotic. It's anarchy, and there's just more at stake. I feel in this one. And
this one also introduces the audience to Carmela Jones, who is the resistance leader, and trying to shed light on what the Purge really is.
Right.
And this is where we really get a glimpse of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What their whole idea of the purge is, and his whole thought process in saying, "Don't do it because tonight we're gonna paint the streets in their blood."
Right.
And so this is where you meet the resistance. This is where you get Leo's character, and then this is also where you finally meet Big Daddy. In those fucking awesome semi trucks.
Oh my god.
So I think this one works well as an action movie.
Yeah. It was action, but I actually liked the masks in this one. When you have the young couple, that gets stuck in LA when they're in the parking lot, and then the guy with the mask that says God, I think it says God something or whatever, they come up. That's creepy. That was a creepy scene. And he's like waving
and the
at
kid with
him.
the painted face.
Yeah.
That kid was creepy.
What about the one where the mouth was extended down the neck?
Oh, that was
I guess that wasn't a mask, but
that was a paint.
that was
I was
like
cool.
looking.
I'm all, that looks.
It was very like Day of the Dead-ish kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like you just have more dynamic and more creative killings. I feel that's kind of where it starts up in this one. But yeah, I just feel like there's more going on, and it's funny too because society in this one is the killer. Like in my you know what, we watch a slasher film, it's like one or two serial killers, but in this one it's society as a whole is like the serial killer, which I liked. And I could totally see LA being like that, but there's definitely more at stake, and like he's totally leading man. The acting was okay, it wasn't bad with everybody else. This one though, the camera work kind of bothered me in some places. It's kind of like my only...
The shaky cam?
It's the shaky cam. Like, that's my only negative comment, really.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a downfall, too, because that's also a trend in a lot of action movies is the shaky cam.
Yeah.
They try to cover up the fact that some of these actors can't fight or
I know.
can't do their own stunts and stuff like that. And that's why they do it, and it kind of like,
it kind of takes it away, though.
Yeah, and, you have Keanu Reeves, who's fucking 50, doing his own stunt moves and his own gun works and his own fighting.
Yeah.
And the camera is still. You mean to tell me they can't train these dudes for a couple months to like, hey, do it this way or something like that?
I know. So that's like my only complaint, really. I also wish with the series as itself, I wish there was more of a score. Like there's not really a score. It's just kind of all different.
But having a score, would that even make the movie better though? Because
I feel like music adds a lot. A score adds so much to a movie.
Yeah, but opinion. You have 3 different movies. Granted, they're all from the same director and writer, but they're all different movies in their own right. So I feel like if you had to score from the Purge and try to place it over Anarchy, I don't think it would work as well.
But you could do it where I don't know what it's called in like the music language, but you can change it. You can change like a chord. I've seen like some people do that. Well, they'll adapt it to what's going on, but it's still similar.
It's like when somebody does a song.
Yeah.
And they put their own
like an adaptation.
Yeah.
Right. So so I kind of wish that was there, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, the score didn't bother me as much. I feel like there's not a whole lot of pieces where you could really put music over, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like that subway scene, I don't think you would be able to put music on there. I mean, there is music, but I feel like, using generic action music, I think that it worked to its benefit, Yeah. But what was my overall thoughts on this one? I didn't see this one in the theater. I caught this one on Cinemax late at night. I was like, I didn't see this, so I'll watch it. And I watched it and I was blown away. It's like, holy shit, this is the Purge movie that I wanted. Yeah. This is what I wanted to see in the first one. Like instead of seeing it like on like found footage.
Right, yeah.
And, I walked away from it and it's like, well, there's not destruction, nothing like that. Certain players were introduced in the first 5 minutes of the Purge, but weren't players later down in the movie, like that bus.
Like the
bus full of those gang members, they didn't come into play.
Yeah.
Those dudes walked through the park, they didn't come into play. So a lot of the people they set up didn't really come into play, and that kind of bugged me coming around, like watching it the second time around. I'm like, that kind of does suck, because that would have been interesting to see that bus chase those people.
Yeah,
I
agree. There was like things they left out. Yeah,
because
it leaves you wanting more. Like, okay, what's going on with that?
Yeah, because like the Warriors, like someone pointed this out, like the Warriors, like they introduced every gang member, every gang set. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Every gang member had a scene or
Exactly.
a sequence to shine.
And that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Because that's so many different characters. So I get maybe they did have it, but they had to edit it, for
Timing, budget.
Which happens most of the time. That's like the number one reason. But it would have been cool to see for sure.
It's an interesting cast of characters too.
Yeah. It's so diverse. That's what I liked about it.
Carmen Alago, Kaylee Sanchez, that girl that played the little girl, the teenager.
Oh, I forgot her name.
Zoe Soul. That's what it was.
Oh.
I thought she was really good
Mm-hmm.
in it, and I thought the relationship between her and Leo throughout the movie was really good.
Yeah.
I liked how she tried to turn him away from it.
Yeah.
And at the end, he listened.
He listened.
So that was pretty good. I
Yeah.
like that whole 360 that he pulled at the end.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
then you
It's
think
character
like,
development.
yeah, and there's this in the first one, in the Purge, you don't get that.
You don't.
Especially in the first Purge.
Yeah.
That was my other gripe about it, is that in the first Purge, you don't have too much character development.
And there's not really an arc.
No,
You know?
and especially with the protester and the drug dealer.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted more from them,
Me too.
and I wanted to know why that basketball player was so special to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when he died, like, that affected him.
Right.
But I wanted to know why. Like, did he
You
know
don't.
him as a kid? Did he sponsor him? Was that his best friend? Was he trying to get out of life or something like that? I wanted to know more. I wanted to know why the sister had to, protest the Purge. I mean, we know why, but I want to know why she did that to sacrifice, her living arrangement.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to know why she became a community activist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, there's good reasons to have whys in certain characters, but not for your killer.
Not for the killer, yeah.
Not for the killer, you don't need the why. You just need to know the how.
Yeah.
But the why for your characters is because you need to care for them. And I thought this one did that better than any of the other ones.
And you're following them, right? It's like like you're on this journey with them. So you want to be on their side. You want to know what's going on. And this one did that.
Yeah, with
Absolutely.
all three sets, because the couple, they're breaking up.
Yeah.
You feel for them. You're like, oh, I hope they don't break up.
Yeah.
The family, they lost their grandpa or their dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sergeant lost his kid, and you're like, well, I understand. Like, he wants blood. And then you're kind of feeling for all different characters, and you're hoping that they find their way out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, because I thought that was well written, and the actors delivered the dialogue and did a really good performance.
It was more heartfelt too.
Yeah.
Like you cared more, like you said.
And then
I thought the wife was a little annoying.
The young
Acting.
couple?
Yeah.
Oh.
Her acting sometimes was a little off to me. It was like, or I don't know, maybe that was her character.
Could've been her
but
good.
she's always played that kind of character though.
Yeah.
Like, especially in Perfect Getaway. You seen that one?
Oh, that's right. That's right. She was in that. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, everyone else forgot about it too.
Yeah, I'm like,
I actually have that movie, and I thought it was a pretty decent movie. But that was kind of like her character from that movie, though.
Yeah, I can see that.
She was kind of like annoying, you know what I mean?
I
And
liked
then-
the guy though. What's his name? Zach Gifford or
yeah.
something like that. I really like him.
Yeah, he was good too. And then when you get to the anarchy of the Purge and you really look into it, you see what they're really doing, and they're abducting people, and then they're selling them.
Yeah.
To the highest bidder, which I thought that was another cool angle, which could be another movie in
That's
itself.
what I wanted for the third one.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to, but like, no.
Well, let's get to it now,
Okay, all right.
because then you get to election year, which jumps 18 years. But I have a theory. Just hear me out. So it says 18 years, right? But it's 18 years from her perspective.
Right.
So 18 years could have been like when she lost her family. That could have been during the second, the third, the fourth Purge. Because if you look at it again, it's a younger girl. And if you look at the picture, it's a younger girl.
Yeah.
It's not her.
Huh.
It's a different actress. It's an actual teenager.
Yeah.
So 18 years later is 18 years from her perspective. So that could be the 18th or 19th purge coming up.
Right.
And then Leo said, well, some years back, I almost did something.
Yeah.
Because if it was 18 years, Leo would be fucking old as shit.
Yeah, he'd be really old. Like,
he wouldn't be able to move as quick as he was able to.
Like
you know what I mean?
You just die naturally.
Yeah, so...
That
like,
doesn't make sense.
So to me, like... And watching the first Purge, and it kind of makes me think, like, oh, okay, then that makes sense if that was the 18th or 19th Purge, or a few years down the road.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, so for Leo, that was like maybe 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
For her, it was 18 years.
Okay.
You know?
I guess it's if you watch them back to back, you'll notice things like that. You know,
Yeah.
if you space them out like I have, I'm like, oh, okay, that didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So that's what when I went into it, I was thinking about that. I was like, huh, okay, maybe that's what it is, because to me that never really tracked.
Yeah.
I was like, if that was 18 years, fucking Leo would be old.
He'd be really old, yeah.
And, you know, there would be... You mean to tell me 18 years from now, like, they don't have, like, better technology? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
They're still using the same kind of guns. They're not even up to plasmas yet.
Right?
You kidding me? No laser guns? No flying cars? No hoverboards? No time machine?
We're never gonna get a time machine, unfortunately.
Well,
I wish.
if Thanos can get one, I'm pretty sure we can get one.
I hope so.
But that's my theory on it. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Because I didn't think about that until you mentioned it, actually.
And then as far as election year, oh my god.
So that one came out 2016. That was the year of the real American election. That happened. And it's the return of...
Which we won't touch, by the way.
Yeah, we're not going to touch... But This
is a happy place.
It so ties with the film, though. And it has the return of Frank Grillo, which I thought was interesting. Like, I love him, but why? Why did they have him return? Why didn't they have another new character?
Are you asking me, or are you like...
You can answer if you want. But you know what I mean? Like, because I really like his character, but he hasn't been...
I think it's because they knew they had a face.
Oh, so he was like the face.
He was the face because, you know, he got top billing in Anarchy, sorry. And so everyone else in election year was all a supporting character. Elizabeth Mitchell, she's been on TV for a while,
I
so
like
she
her. Yeah.
she doesn't have like a name out there. Malik Williamson, he's a good character actor, but he's never been like the actor. And that's it. That's all you got.
They just needed a face for
needed a face.
Okay.
And that was the selling point, because Frank Grillo in election year was the reason people went to go see it.
That's why I saw it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now this is the one that I didn't go out to rush and go see. I was like, whatever. You know, I thought the Statue of Liberty mask was cool and stuff like that. I don't remember where I saw this, but I think I saw this like when it came on Showtime or something. I was like, I'll watch this.
Oh, you didn't see it in theaters either?
I didn't see it in theaters.
Wow.
Because like after the Purge,
yeah,
left the like bad taste in my mouth. Like I'm not gonna go see a sequel in the theater.
I know.
I'll wait. And then Anarchy came out. I was like, fuck, I should have saw this in the theater.
Yeah.
And then I saw the trailer for election year. I was like, and then they did the whole "Make America Great Again."
Yeah. So.
And to me, it was like, oh, you motherfuckers are gonna be so heavy-handed with your message now. Like, I'm cool. I'm out.
Going into it, I knew it was gonna be all about that. You know. Being
and
relevant.
the funny thing is that when they did that, they did it before he even said it.
I know.
They cut that trailer.
Yeah.
And they made it like that. It's like, and Blumhouse was like, well, shit, I just cut the trailer. I didn't even know he said that until after the fact. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I was still like, at that time, I was still turned off. I was like, I'm not going to go see it. I'm sorry.
But I feel like this movie was made just for this U.S. election. I really do. Like, looking back, I really
feel because
like,
then it was 2 years after.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people didn't think they were going to get a third movie for a while.
Yeah. So I really, like, they knew what they were doing. Blumhouse knew what they were doing.
Yeah, he timed it right.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
They really did. But this one, what the hell? It was all over the freaking place. Way too many characters. Just too much going on. I mean, then you have, like, the Black Panther people. And then you have, like, the NFFA. And then you have, like, the election candidates. And then you have Frank Grillo trying to protect her. which is she's like the Hillary, you know. Hey, sorry, I know we're not trying to get political, but it's such a political movie. But I just feel like there's way too much going on, and it's like, who am I following here? You know, it was like a circus. It should have been called the Purge Circus, because that's what it was like.
I go see that movie.
Yeah,
I go see that movie.
That could be an idea.
Yeah, we'll spitball one right now. But I think this one wasn't good. They tried to make the message more like apparent. Yeah. And so the action and the exploitation stuff kind of suffered for it, I feel.
Yeah. It was just more like protecting and like political, where it was less creative killings and less exploitation. So I don't know. Just to me it felt
and I thought it was interesting too, because like the NFFA decided, okay, we'll take us off the list now. Right. And so we'll be on the purge. So if people wanted to kill us, then they can, just to get that. But then I kind of liked it because there was just such a sinister tone to it, because Leo says, oh, they're here to take out, damn it, what's his name? Who? Dante. Oh. Dante Bishop, which he had a small part in Anarchy. He was the guy that shot those dudes in the hallway. He was the first one that handed the young woman the gun.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was him.
Look back. Okay.
And then when Michael K. Williams shows up, and then it's both of them, it's him. So he's the through line between Purge, Anarchy, and election year. Interesting. And so when it gets to election year, now he's running the group. And he's trying to assassinate the NFFA. Yeah. You know, he's trying to carry on what Jones was doing in LA. Which right. I thought was interesting, and I thought that was a good touch. And I thought that in itself could have been a better story.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't stick with something like that, because this one is just all over the place.
And it was kind of like a replay of Anarchy, where Leah was protecting the senator, where Leah was protecting like the whole group.
The group, right?
And I kind of appreciate that, you know, go with what you know. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you're kind of giving me the same movie. It's the just same, in a different setting.
Just in a different setting, yeah, with different characters. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like it tried to have an 80s homage with the characters like Joe, you know, like the whole common blue worker. And I liked him. You know, I thought like they had some funny dialogue with him and stuff, and he just wanted to protect his place. But then you have like Candy Girl, and I don't know. Like, I mean, I thought
prom date from hell.
I thought that was a cool concept. Like, their car was cool and it was all lit up. Like, there was definitely some cool imagery happening. Yeah. I would say like that's the only good thing about it. But she just like the acting was awful.
All the acting was weird.
Yeah, the acting was just like.
They just showed up. It's like, just pay me.
I don't know. Yeah, it was like, was it intentional? I don't know, but
everything was just a little bit over the top. Yeah. To not draw you in and make you go.
It drew me out. Yeah. The best character, honestly, was like the creepy priest minister guy. I loved him. I wanted more of him. That scene where like him and the guy and he's killing, and then like you think they're gonna make out because it's so weird and they're like so close to each other. I loved that guy. I wanted more of that.
He had like a total orgasm when he did that.
Yeah, yeah, and his face, and he's like super pale. Like he was the best character, and because I went with my husband at the time, we were watching it, and I was just cracking up. I'm like, this is the best scene out of this whole fucking movie. Like, why don't they just have like this guy should have his own movie? But yeah, this for me like just didn't do it. Awful. Love Frank Grillo, but this.
You know, then also she at the end she also abolishes the purge. Yeah. You know, or successfully, and then there's looting and there's rioting out in the streets and shit like that. And people turning shit over, and I'm like, where the fuck was that during the purge?
Right. I know.
Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, you can. People want to go out and murder, okay, but I want to see fucking destruction. You mean to tell me like that's all people think about? Like, if I had 12 hours to kill, I'm gonna fucking go burn a building down,
that's what I'm saying,
or attack something, or
go crazy,
break into a bank, or I don't know, do something. You know, set fire to a police station, right? Something like that. But you don't see any of that. You don't see no fires. You don't see no cars. and you hardly see any fucking people.
That's the weird thing. There's so many characters, but you don't see other people or participants of the purge. Yeah,
and it's just like, it's weird to me. It's like, in a city that big,
right?
You mean to tell me you're gonna walk down city streets, empty like that? I don't buy it.
Freaking chaotic.
Like, no, man. Like, there's gonna be a bunch of people out there turning shit over, or
setting fire, throwing things, like destruction.
And that was the thing that I don't like about the purge, is the lack of destruction. I feel like, well, realistically, if you had something like that, the whole fucking city would burn.
People would go ape shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You give them that much leeway. There's no way in hell people think about murder all the time.
Yeah, but you touched on that common thread where it always ends the same, like on a positive note, and that if that was in the movies, it would go against the message they keep trying to say, is that we're inherently good. We don't want to be a part of the purge, and the only time we get pulled into it
is when we have to.
When they hire some people to do
the mercenaries.
Yeah, or they are paying people and they're in, compromising positions, so they get bought in that way.
Right.
And so it goes along with what they keep trying to say.
Right.
Because if it was all crazy, then they would be able to say at the end, well, we're really good inside.
That's
no,
true.
Most of the people are not.
Yeah, I know. So it's so weird. I don't know. Like, with all of these, I just feel like it doesn't execute. Like, the premise is great, concept's great, but it just doesn't execute.
I posed a question to her, and I also posed a question to a couple of buddies of mine. Does this series take itself way too serious?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think it really does. I think if they weren't so heavy-handed and maybe a little bit more subtle, even though subtlety's not Blumhouse's special, I think that these series would be better. Like, give me a movie like Death Wish 3.
Oh my god, I love Death Wish.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me a movie like The Warriors.
Yeah.
Or Battle Royale.
And no one has done it like the Warriors.
No.
I must say, and I know they're trying to remake that.
Well, that's in development hell.
No one has lived up to that, because that is so character driven. There's so many different people.
And on top of that, The Warriors was just so timely.
Yeah.
Because when it came out, you actually had clubs like that in New York. To me, if you want to do a Purge movie like this, you really have to go all in, or not at all.
Just don't. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like you're kind of cheating your audience by giving them this ridiculous premise and not really delivering on it.
It's just like a slice of pizza and not the whole box.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want more. Give me more. But I don't know. There's this. I joked about this the other day. There's a comedian, Theo Vaughn, I think his name is, and he made a joke about Denny's and how Denny's sucks. Fuck Denny's. Fuck that place. But I keep going back. He's like, every time I'm there, I'm like, I'm never fucking coming to this place again. And then he's there the next week. That's the purge for me. I'm not happy with them, but I just keep going and watching them. So it's why? I think maybe because I think they'll get better. I don't know. I hope so.
Theoretically, they have gotten better in the way that they're shot and they're written and directed.
True.
And, so they have gotten better and they have expanded on the universe, so to say.
Yeah.
But there's just so many different storylines and so many intriguing storylines that they could follow up on.
Yeah.
Like the kids kidnapping the adults and selling them to the wealthy.
That'd be a cool movie.
Yeah,
right there.
The government coming in and executing its citizens.
Yeah.
The tourism coming from Amsterdam, France, Spain, whatever. The foreigners coming to America to purge.
Yeah.
That right there is another movie.
That could be their next one.
Yeah. But I don't think they'll do that because of the time we're in.
I know.
Again, we're trying happy place.
I know, it's so hard. It's so hard.
But again, those are movies that I want to see, and if they go all in on the exploitedness on this, and just know that this is exploitation, it would be a much funner time. People would go see these movies, and people are not to say people are not going, but people will go in droves to see these movies because people want these kind of movies. They want that grindhouse kind of movie, even though if they don't know it. They want something like that.
Yeah. I just think it needs a new director and a new writer.
It's
Sorry.
funny because that's what I said after. I'm sitting there in the middle because Tarantino has a way of always taking a character that is kind of a despicable character and making you like him and feel for him. And I felt that they kind of did that with this movie with the drug dealer guy.
Yeah.
And I walked out and I said, man, that movie would be so much better if Tarantino.
I know, right?
It would be such a good movie.
Maybe it
give
needs
him
that.
one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Like it'd be like the shootout in Django Unchained, but just like on a grander scale.
Right, on a much more
or
destructive
like the Kill
scale.
Bill Crazy 88 scene.
Oh, that was a great scene.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I feel like that movie was more violent than The Purge.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And more bloody.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
That was a great.
I want.
Yeah.
I want that kind of Purge movie. Like I want to see someone go and just like chop people up or something like that.
But they're just taking themselves too seriously, like you said.
Yeah.
So like in the time.
And so like the movies are just like heavy-handed and just trying to show you like,
See,
look.
I feel like Tarantino takes himself seriously in a way. Like I feel like he has similar messages. He deals with racism and the way people get along.
But he makes it where
he
it's
has
not.
this way of doing
Yeah.
it.
There's a way of doing it.
But there's just like it's so.
almost grittier and it makes you uncomfortable, but you get it.
You get it, and you're not
you're like, oh wait.
You don't feel so like, oh, like I just got to get through this. Like you enjoy watching it because you want to know more. This one, it like you said, there's a way of doing it.
His characters are way more realistic.
Yeah,
and the people in Tarantino's movies are actually ways people actually talk to each other.
Right. Well, let's not lie, they're A-list actors too.
Well, that too.
You know, it's so dialogue. His movies are so dialogue heavy. You know, the Purge. It wouldn't work for the Purge for that kind of dialogue because you need that action. You know, but I definitely think they need a new director and a new writer.
Which brings me to the series.
Yeah.
And so we stayed for the post-credit, and it said 10 years after the first Purge. And now I'm wondering, where are they going to go with this TV series? Because you have Fiona Dorff, who's Brad
Dourif's daughter.
Yeah, who plays...
Who's great. She's awesome.
In the new Chucky films. And she plays a cult leader.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting. I don't know where they're gonna go with the series because there's no synopsis about it. They're keeping it under wraps.
I don't know.
And
it's
on
gonna be
USA.
It's on USA, which and we were talking about this because I said it's on USA. So how much violence are they gonna show? And then you mentioned The Sinner, which was a great show.
Yeah, it was a really good show
and had a really violent scene. So I don't know how much
violent scene. Fucking the whole series was violent.
Yeah,
they pushed the fucking limits on that.
They did, and USA hasn't really done that. So I think they, like you said, they are kind of taking risks now. They're going like balls out. But the Purge is such a violent concept. So I don't know.
And it's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So how do you carry?
Are we following a character?
Exactly. So you don't know.
Is it gonna be like Walking Dead, or like each episode?
Oh
God,
no! Don't be like Walking Dead. Don't. No. We don't talk Walking Dead here. I'm sorry.
What?
If
You're
you
not
want,
a fan?
if you want to talk Walking Dead, you can get the. Out.
He's not a fan.
She's all kicking us.
That's another conversation.
It's like, last podcast.
Done.
No, I mean we'll talk about it in a little bit, but
you know what I mean. Like, how they did that on like certain episodes. I don't know what they're gonna do. When is that coming out? Fall.
September 4th.
This year.
Yeah, this year.
I'll watch it just to see how they're gonna do it.
You know, I am intrigued and trying to figure out, like, it's an hour. You got an hour.
Yeah.
And you got 10 episodes. So what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, do you follow the first few episodes building up to the Purge?
Yeah.
Or do you just throw us right into the Purge? Or are you going to set up characters so we follow during certain episodes and then their stories kind of combine?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm anxious. I can't wait to see it, honestly. Because USA hasn't done me wrong with TV shows as of late. You know, the Unsolved Tupac and Biggie series was pretty good. That was really good. Yeah, okay. Really good. And The Sinner.
So good.
And then that's coming out with a season 2 in October.
Oh, how are they gonna do that though?
It's following the cop.
Oh, Bill
Pullman.
I freaking love him.
It's gonna follow his character because it's gonna be his character that goes into different mysteries.
He was messed up. Like, he had issues.
Yeah, and they're gonna explore that in this season.
Okay.
So that's gonna be really interesting.
Cool.
And so yeah, I think USA is gonna do really good. Initially, it was gonna be on Sci-Fi.
See, that I could see, or FX. You know, because FX really pushes it.
Well, Universal is like co-opted by Sci-Fi and USA.
Okay.
So Sci-Fi and USA air a lot of Universal stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Sci-Fi would have been better because they had this show called Happy.
Oh yeah.
You seen that show?
And they have Channel Zero, which I don't know if you've seen, but
Oh,
that's
my God.
a freaking good show.
Yeah, that was a really good show.
That's a
And
good
it's
show.
coming back this October.
So I'm excited because I love fall shows because they're always like scary. You know, Halloween coming up. So I'm excited to see the new Purge series, but I'm not like dying over it.
Yeah, but you're dying
I
over
mean,
that
I'm
Walking
dying-
Dead series, though, huh?
Hey, listen. Okay, I've been following Walking Dead since it premiered. Yes, I admit the last 2 seasons have sucked, but I'm a big Norman Reedus fan, so I'm watching it for Norman
Who
Reedus.
is it?
I love him.
Everyone's watching it for Daryl.
And you know he's the new lead now, right?
Yeah, Lincoln's
They're
leaving
killing
after the
off-
season.
They're killing off Andrew because he doesn't want to do it anymore. Which
He's all like,
blows.
you writers suck, that's why.
Yeah, the showrunner, everything, yeah. But yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
see.
We'll bring on a guest, a couple of nerds that like The Walking Dead.
Do you know people? that
Yeah, I
are-
know people that.
Cool,
that
I'll
are-
plenty to talk about.
So I'll be sitting over here making fun of you guys and
Oh
talking
my
shit.
I'm just
god.
not a general fan of zombies.
I'm not
Like
either, but
the
it's not about
zombies.
zombies, it's about survival.
Yeah,
And I'm into
yeah.
like apocalyptic stuff, so it's all about like
My
what
daughter
would
would
you
say,
do?
"You gotta watch this scene." So
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah.
And there is like these emotional quandaries that
Oh, yeah.
they get into, and they're always where they're.
You know your characters in The Walking Dead. Like, you're not left like, unless they're bringing in a new one, you
Yeah.
know them really well. You like I said, I've kind of grown up with The Walking Dead. You know, it started when I was in college, so I've been following it every year. But, you know, the last 2 seasons just, what the hell? I don't know.
I don't know either. Don't
We'll
watch it.
talk about that with your nerd friends.
Yeah. Hey, we're a couple of nerds too, but we can say that because we're nerds, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Actually, geek. I like geek.
Geek.
Yeah.
Nerds know how to do it, and geeks actually do it.
Right. Bada boom, bada bing.
All right, so this is the moment that I've been waiting for, and this is the new segment that we're gonna implement throughout the show. Movie pitch. So we are gonna pitch our own version of the Purge movies, and we both have about 2-3 ideas each, and we're gonna see if we can go through them all. If not, and we're gonna try to go through the best one and see who has a better one. I have the better one, obviously.
Wow. Such an Aries.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know, I have the better
Okay,
one.
since you-
Because I'm outside the box.
You go first then, since you
No,
have
no,
the...
it's all
no,
good.
no,
Ladies
that's
first.
all you.
Ladies first.
No, since you have
No.
like the best ideas.
No, I
Let's hear
don't.
it.
I
Let's hear
don't.
it.
No, I'm all good. Go ahead.
All right, so I have one. This is just like a bias.
Like a Who and the Jimi Hendrix moment.
Right?
Or now on the gun.
This is like a bias thing. So because of like I love technology, but I have such a hatred for it. So this would be the whole like celebrities, fucking purging celebrities, purging like those social media horrors, like those YouTube, Instagram influencers, where everything is just like self-absorbed. So mine. Yes. So that would be my thing is like celebrities. And I think it could be really fun. I think like you could also get like real celebrities to be part of it. That would add like that fun dynamic we were talking about.
Make
how
it
it's not,
make it more surreal.
yeah. So it's not so serious, but it can be, but it's like playful at the same time.
Wouldn't it be funny as hell to have like Kristen Bell
That would be awesome.
running around with a chainsaw covered
Yeah.
in blood?
Or like, you know, like celebrity feuds too. They could go after their own kind.
Matt
like,
Damon beating the shit out of Ben Affleck.
right? I just
Like, motherfucker, you wrote Good Will Hunting.
I think it could be super fun. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's
Let's
probably
hear your-
that's better than mine actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's better
Wow.
than mine. Where do I go? Okay, so I had this idea, and I was actually was telling her about it. Our producer,
Mystery producer.
the voice that makes you moist.
You know,
We're gonna actually have that logo, so there's gonna
Ew,
be.
no.
No, not like that. Wait, let me finish first. So it's gonna be like 2 figurines, right, standing in front of the microphones, and there's gonna be like 2 big lips right above like
Not
right
just
in the middle.
2 fingers.
Yeah.
No,
I was
two
like, where-
two lips.
What kind
Lips
of
and
podcast
fingers.
is
Yeah.
this?
No,
Where are
it's
you
gonna be
going?
2 cartoon characters, and then big cartoon lips right up here, like a big cartoon mouth, like the Rolling Stones mouth. That's
It's
what
a
it's gonna-
different kind of bump in the
Yeah.
Never mind. All right, I'm gonna scratch that out. Never mind.
All right.
Back to my movie pitch.
Where are you going?
Okay, so this one is how the government goes and attacks its own citizens. So how the NFFA will go around and they're complaining about people not participating and stuff like that. They go across the country to small towns. We never see how the purge affects a small town.
That's true.
And I am very curious to see like a town like Santa Cruz or
Yeah.
Watsonville or Hollister,
Yeah.
Los Banos, something like that. Something that's really small, you know what I mean? And how does that affect them?
That'd be cool.
You know, since you live in a town where everyone knows each other and everyone knows, it's like Cheers, everyone knows your name,
Yeah.
right? And so one time they're getting ready for their annual purge, right? They have a big fucking party at the plaza. They do their own little Burning Man, whatever. Like, you can do whatever you want still, but if you come out to the plaza, you know, everyone knows the rules. Like, it's an unspoken rule that no one murders anyone in the plaza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they do a sacrifice, whatever. You know, they find a homeless man and they sacrifice him, whatever, and they purge. Because they touch on that too, like in election year,
Yeah.
when they sacrifice the homeless man in the
That's
church.
right.
So I was curious to see, like, oh, that'd be interesting. I'd really like to see that movie. And then you have little side stories where you have the neighborhood serial killer.
Yeah.
You know,
Ooh,
he
that's
goes
creepy.
out
Yeah.
and then he starts murdering people. And then you have the kids, the vandalize shit.
Yeah.
And then, but this one year, Big Daddy and his semi trucks, full of mercenaries, come to town and massacre the whole plaza.
Oh no.
And the only ones that are left are the serial killer and the vandalisms. And so these guys are hunting, like the mercenaries and Big Daddy, they're hunting these people. And so these kids and the serial killer have to form a, you know, unlikely alliance to survive the night.
That's
But-
cool because that's like a twist.
Yeah,
kind of.
and so they got to survive the night. And they know who he is because he does it every purge, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like they got to survive the night while at the same time the NFFA is burning the town to ash. And they're wiping small towns. And then at the end they win because they wipe them out. But they wipe them out in such a cool way that like the time is really going to be stressed out. So it's going to be like the countdown.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be on the screen and it says like 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 minutes, 2 minutes,
Yeah.
60 seconds. And then by 30 seconds, they think they made it and they get gunned down. All of them. And then like they burn the whole entire town.
Wow.
And so the camera just pans away and you just see this fucking town set on fire.
That's crazy.
And then it goes back into the semi truck and they cross out a town and the camera pans away and then you see small towns all over the country
Oh.
with
like
access.
Oh, that's sad.
And so it's like, holy shit, that'd be rad because you don't see how it affects a small community like that.
Right.
Because
it's just been, like cities.
yeah, and so what if, like, you know, like in the first purge, they touch on it, they intervene. So what do? They intervene.
They intervene.
And they do that, and I'm like, that'd be an interesting story. I'd go see that movie, even though it's a really dark, and I feel like the series is gonna do that.
You think so?
I think so because it seems like it's in a small setting. You can't have a cult. I don't feel like cults can survive in cities. I feel like they can survive in small towns.
Yeah. And also, too, the whole small town thing is creepy because it's more spread out.
Yeah.
You know, everything's not so close. Like, you can't exactly walk everywhere in a small town. You know, so especially if you're, like, Hollister, there's, like, cornfields and cows.
Or especially you got one of those towns like, you know, like the Crazies.
Oh, yeah.
You know how it's just like that one stretch of road?
Yeah.
And then you have, like, neighborhoods on both sides of the road.
And to me, that's creepier than a city. Because there's so
Yeah.
many people in a city, right? But in a small town, there's only so much.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I feel like I like that, and I think that's a dope idea.
That is a cool idea.
I wish someone would did that, but I do feel like the series is gonna do that because, like, you know, they kind of hinted is like a small town. Because then why the fuck is the bus driving to a town?
You predicted it. You heard it here first.
We'll see though, September 4th,
We'll
and we'll touch on it. So what was your second idea?
So my second idea I had, it's just, I don't know, like, it's been the point of views of the victims, right? I think it'd be cool if they kind of spun that and had it be like the killers, you know?
Yeah.
Like killers all out. You could still get some character arcs in there, so it wouldn't just be like mass killings. But I think it'd be cool to have the concept of like the killers and to see more of that. And they kind of just they don't really touch on that. So I don't know. Might be fun to explore.
That's funny because that's actually where my second one was going.
Oh, really?
But it focused on the foreigners.
That was another idea I had.
You know, on tourism.
Yeah.
Because they touch
not
on
just
election.
Americans.
Yeah, there's like, you know, murder tourism, how that's big capital.
Yeah.
And you follow this group of foreigners coming into town, and they bite off more than they can chew.
You could do like China and Russia.
Little on the nose. I was going maybe like, you know, Brits and Germans, but okay. But they use GoPros and they document it for like their YouTube page.
Oh my god.
And so they run into a rival group from somewhere else, you know, and they meet, and then they're competing, like, okay, so they start hitting houses together.
Oh wow.
And they start racking up the body count, right, and comparing, and then one of them turns on one of the sets, and all hell breaks loose, and then they start, you know, killing each other.
So it's like a competition kind
yeah
of thing. That's cool.
It kind of goes out of control,
yeah,
because, you know, they're tied, but then it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then one of them just turns and boom, shoots the other guy. It's like, we're not tied anymore.
Wow.
And then they just have a brawl.
So then I like these ideas because it's not the same formula, and there is actual killings at the end. It doesn't.
And it builds up. You know what I mean? And especially that will build up to like a big showdown.
They're
like,
gonna have to do that because it's just getting so repetitive.
Yeah, because it's starting to get formulaic. You know what I mean? It's like a Marvel movie now.
Yeah.
It's like kind of predictable. The exception of Infinity War. You know, Marvel movies are kind of predictable, where you're like, oh, I see that coming. Oh, the villain's not that weak. Oh, yeah, we know that twist was coming.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like that's an interesting idea to deal with the foreigners, because I'm really curious to see how that murder capitalism was a booming business. I wanted to see how that started.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how it started, or maybe that was the idea.
And then also too, you hear like these whole foreign markets will want like organs from people, you know, so that could be like another thing too that they profit off of, like their
Oh
organs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have another one, or?
I might think some more on it. Did you have another one?
I had another one called Let the Games Begin.
So what's that one?
So you have this big corporation. This is kind of based off Mayhem, actually.
Okay.
So you have this big corporation, and they're not paying their employees shit, right? And employees can't afford medicine, rent, car, whatever. Or they're just frustrated with their position. And so they have a annual purchase coming up. They have a sheet, and it says, survive the night, you win so-and-so money, right? And again, it also comes into play where, like, well, how bad do you want it?
Right.
You know, because even in anarchy, you had people selling themselves to be sacrificed.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. And then people start signing up because they're struggling and they're exploiting their own employees. And so what they do is, when the purge kicks in, is that they put them in this underground, like, obstacle course, but it's pretty big, it's pretty wide. It's gonna be like self-contained, but it's big enough to, like, where people could hide, and it's kind of like designed as a town.
Oh, that's cool.
So what they do is that they spread them out. It's like the Hunger Games. They say, here are your weapons.
Go.
And then go. You have 12 hours. But the twist is that the bosses on top are coming down to hunt their own employees.
Oh, that's messed up.
And so now they're sniping them, they're killing them, and then one of them figures it out. It's like, holy shit, they're not gonna fucking pay us.
Yeah.
They're just gonna kill us.
Yeah.
We got to fight. So instead of like, so it gets down to like maybe 5 or 6 people, and it's about like maybe 10 of the bosses. Like, you know, you find a whole boardroom. You know what I mean? And so they got to put away the differences. It's like, we got to survive the night. Yeah. Otherwise, we are not okay here. Mm. So they get to it and they start, you know, they get through the night, and then it gets down to the boss and the employee. Time's up, and they put their guns down. The employee's all, "You motherfucker, you fucking betrayed us," and then he shoots his boss.
Good.
After the time limit.
Good.
So now, but the fucked up part is that since it's after the time limit, now he can be accountable for murder.
Oh, so does he get like arrested or something?
I haven't figured that out, but I was trying to figure it out. You know, that'd be a good little, like, that's like a good fuck you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people need that fuck you. Like, you know, I don't want to do it when it's legal because you know what? You killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In all of these, it's been legal. Like, for that time, okay, as soon as that thing comes on, everybody stops.
Yeah, and so, like, then that whole thing, you know, but then again, the audience is letting their guard down. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then you draw it out, and then, boom!
Yeah.
And then, and like, if it's played well and executed well, it's gonna leave the audience like, you know what I mean?
What?
It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why? Because, you know, the reason why is because, like, he wanted to say in a statement, like, fuck you.
Yeah, as a traitor.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you weren't going to pay me. Even if I survived, you know, you can't let me live now.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can tell what, you know, what you guys did.
I like that.
So that was my idea. And that'd be called the Purge. Purge games. Purging games. Purging games. There we go. Extreme games. There we go.
I mean, what about this like circus idea we were talking about? Like the Purge circus.
Purge circus.
Yeah.
So, you ever seen Batman Returns?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how that circus comes into Gotham?
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Right? So how they start like opening up the doors and then the clowns and everyone starts fucking around, blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Right? So you kind of bite that scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do that like in some kind of like rural area or some like, not like a city, but like a big enough town where people are kind of like drawn into it. Mm-hmm. And then you just let everything go. You let all the freaks go and they just like run rampant through the town.
Ooh, that's creepy. And they could be like...
They dressed as clowns, you know. Yeah. You have the bearded lady, you know, cutting ladies' hairs and shit.
What would be cool, too, is like... You were saying earlier, our mystery producer was saying earlier, that girl's acting was very, like, robotic. What if they did, like, Purge robots?
Purge robots.
That'd be, like, a sci-fi idea. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool, too, if the circus came to town and they ended up taking the people and maybe not killing them, but doing something to them where all of a sudden they were a part of the circus afterwards against their will.
Joining them. Oh, that's cool.
But they're like got lobotomies or like different things were allowed to be done with them, and they were stuck there forever for eternity.
Well, since Upgrade was made by Blumhouse, what if you take that guy from Upgrade and you put him in the Purge?
I haven't seen Upgrade yet. I need to see it.
Oh my god, seriously?
I know. I need to watch
VOD. I think VOD next week.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think Leon announced it because he just took a picture of a Blu-ray of Upgrade. So it's coming soon.
Okay.
So next week maybe VOD.
It looks fun.
It is. It is a fun movie, but
I saw Mayhem. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I love the guys from The Walking Dead. He played Glenn on Walking Dead. He's the main actor. I just felt like it was trying too hard. I felt like the dialogue was trying too hard to be clear.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I thought that
movie.
And
I don't care for the blonde girl. She was in The Babysitter, which I also didn't like. I don't care for her either.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like my husband and I we fell asleep like.
Oh my god!
I know. I just didn't care for it. I just think it was trying too hard.
No. The Purge movies are trying too hard. This movie fucking nailed it.
With the dialogue, that dialogue turns me off. Like, I don't know. They're trying too hard for Quentin Tarantino dialogue, I feel, and it just didn't execute, in my opinion.
Oh,
I have this thing with dialogue. I don't know. I like it to be real, and I just didn't feel he wouldn't say things like that. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a natural.
Are you talking about The Babysitter?
No, Mayhem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like,
Dude,
Babysitter.
I was mentioned for a second. I was all, what?
Babysitter, I had high hopes for, and I love that kid actor, Judah
Yeah.
Lewis. He's gonna be in Summer of '84.
Oh, okay,
him.
that's who it is.
I
Okay.
love him. I think he's gonna be super famous. Like he's like the next River Phoenix. But yeah, like I don't know. It's a lot of in Mayhem. It's a lot of voiceover, and the voiceover it didn't like that's not natural. Like that he wouldn't talk like that. I feel.
Yeah, but he's telling you the story though. That's why the That's why it's a voiceover.
It turned me off. I don't know. I just was trying too hard. Like I said, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking Dallas Roberts. Come on.
I don't know. I love him though. Like I love that actor. And
He's fucking awesome.
I
The
know he
Reaper.
is, but I don't know.
Oh my god.
Eh.
That's it. That's it. Oh my god. That's it.
Eh.
Our
You
first
gotta be
episode.
buzzers.
Our first
No.
official episode. And it's already over. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's not over.
This is terrible.
Oh my god.
Hey,
It's
This is
okay
terrible.
to disagree.
No, it's not.
Dramatic
Not with me.
Aries.
It's not.
So dramatic. Diva over here.
Oh
The
man.
horror diva. I thought I was a horror diva. Man.
Shit, I was a
That's
wrestler
your
for a couple years, so I had to be a diva.
I can wrestle you mentally.
Spoken like a trooper.
Yep.
And I felt like Mayhem just had fun with its premise, and I think it was a movie that didn't take itself way too seriously, and I feel like that concept worked because it didn't take itself seriously.
I
It
agree on
knew
that
it knew
part.
it knew what it wanted to be,
Yeah.
and all the violence in there was exploitive, but it was also fun.
Yeah.
You know, though it's something that the Purge movies are missing.
I agree. I
You
agree
know,
on that.
and I kind of equate that with Battle Royale because
Yeah.
they did the same thing.
I really loved Battle Royale.
Even though that message isn't as subtle, but the way that it's written and the way that the action is
Yeah.
just so exploitive. But it's not exploited enough where you feel like it's
Right.
exploited enough where it's like, oh hell yeah, blow that motherfucker's head off again. You know?
Which the Purge should be like.
Yeah, I do agree. So
So how would you rate like the Purge
as a
overall?
franchise?
Yeah, as a franchise. I know that's hard.
I like Anarchy a lot, and that's like that's like 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to say maybe a 2.
Okay, I
A hard
agree.
2?
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Even that's even including the First Purge.
Yeah,
So I would have to give it a 2.
yeah. same.
Even though the First Purge had a character that I really liked, and Anarchy had a character that I also really liked.
Mm-hmm.
There's just those other 2 movies. Like if those movies were just a slightly little better,
Yep, a lot better.
I feel like that could have been, maybe a 3.
Yeah.
It seems
But as-
like the Purges, that those movies were just made, it's going to sound weird to say, but less to terrify you and more as a feel-good movie.
Yeah.
Like when you get to
And
the
to
end,
make money.
it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, the theme throughout was always at the end. You got to the end, and people are good, and
Yeah, everything's back to
you don't need to
normal.
worry, and people don't really want to kill you, even if it's okay. Most of the people don't. Like it seemed like the same message over and over, and at the end, you're like, oh, that was more of. Or
Yeah.
I felt like. Those are more of kind of feel-good movies. Like,
Yeah, I could see that.
Instead of it being like a horror movie where...
It's not horror at all to me, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like horror elements to it,
Yeah.
but it's not your typical horror movie
It's
or
more
your,
action thriller, I think.
They're
Yeah,
definitely
maybe
marketed as kind of
maybe thriller.
like
I mean,
horror.
yeah, you have all these creepy images and like
But
these
that's it,
horror
really.
elements,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's pretty much it. There's really nothing there that makes you feel like scared.
yeah.
I don't know. To me, like the Purge, yes, they do get better in quality, but as in quality and story and subtlety, not so much.
Not so much.
So, I mean, that's where I stand.
I agree. I just feel like I said, I don't know why I keep going back. I just keep going back and watching it. But, yeah, I just feel like it has such a great potential to be so great because it's such an awesome concept, but it just doesn't execute. Except the second one. I loved Anarchy. But
Yeah.
like,
I think that was when they fully realized
Yeah.
what it could be.
Right.
And then they tried to double down in election year, and it just didn't work.
And it just went, "Meow," you know?
Crash and burn.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the first official episode of Bump in the Night. I am your host, Johnny Zuko, with
And Elysa.
That's it. That's all you're gonna get.
What did you call me earlier?
Wasn't it Sardine?
No.
Sardina?
The mistress.
The Crypt Keeper's mistress.
The Crypt Keeper's mistress.
Mistress.
I can't talk today. Yeah, misfit.
No, me too. So don't worry.
All right.
All right. So, in the voice that makes you moist, signing out, and that's gonna stick probably. All right. Peace.
Stay scary.
Rawr!